What happens when the man who built the company gets treated like he doesn't belong in it? Noah Carter stood in the back office of his 10th supermarket location, tying the laces on a pair of off-brand sneakers. The uniform was plain blue polo, black pants, name tag that read Nick. He'd shaved his beard and wore fake glasses. His voice was naturally deep, but he'd been practicing keeping it softer. He hadn't visited this store in person since its grand opening 6 years ago. It was in a working-class neighborhood, busy but not chaotic. Lately, though, complaints had trickled in long waits, unfriendly staff, expired products left on shelves. The district manager, Tony, kept saying everything was under control. Noah didn't trust that anymore. He'd built the supermarket chain from scratch. First store opened in a strip mall with only 5 employees. Now, 10 locations, each bringing in solid numbers. But he was afraid of becoming the kind of owner he used to resent disconnected, distant, blind. So, he decided to go undercover as a new trainee. No one at this location had met him. He'd only ever spoken to the manager, Carla, over Zoom. She seemed competent, warm, but something about her reports felt too polished. Nick, right? A short man in his 30s with a walkie clipped to his belt stepped into the room. "I'm Darnell. I'll show you around. You're on register training today." Noah nodded. "Cool. Nice to meet you." Darnell led him through the back room, past stacks of produce and pallets of bottled water, into the bright front of the store. It was clean, but there was a weird tension in the air. Employees moved fast, avoided eye contact, and barely spoke to customers. "You'll shadow Vanessa today," Darnell said, pointing to a cashier lane near the middle. "She's been here 4 years. She'll get you up to speed. Just watch and help where she asks." Vanessa was tall, brown-skinned, and moved like she was 5 steps ahead of everyone. She smiled politely as Noah approached. "So, you're the new guy," she said. "Welcome to the circus," he laughed. "Looks busy." "It's always busy, but we make it work. You run your lane, you treat people right, you try not to let the stress eat you alive. That's the job." The first hour flew by. Vanessa was patient, explaining how to bag properly, how to handle coupons, how to spot fake returns. She greeted every customer with the same calm voice, even the ones who grumbled or threw attitudes. Then, just before lunch, a woman stepped into Vanessa's lane with a cart half full of canned goods, baby formula, and frozen dinners. She looked tired. Her coat was worn, her hands shaking a little. Vanessa greeted her gently. "Hi there. Find everything okay today?" "Yeah, I think so. I got the sale items." As Vanessa rang her up, the woman pulled out food stamps. It didn't cover everything. She hesitated, looking at the bill. Okay, I'll put the frozen stuff back." Vanessa glanced at the line behind her, then stepped aside and quietly pulled a small card from her back pocket. She swiped it and covered the difference. The woman froze. "Wait, what are you doing?" "Don't worry about it," Vanessa said softly. "It's taken care of." "No, I can't let you. It's covered. Just take care of yourself, okay?" The woman's eyes watered. Thank you so much." She left, holding her bags tight like they might disappear. Noah was stunned, but before he could say a word, a voice behind him said, "There she goes again, playing Mother Teresa." He turned. Another cashier, a younger woman named Kelsey, leaned against the counter in the next lane. Her tone was mocking. "You really think you're saving the world, huh?" she said to Vanessa. "It's not your job to bail out every sob story." Vanessa didn't even look at her, just kept scanning the next customer's groceries. "I said something," Kelsey added, louder this time. "You got something in your ears?" And then a man in a red button-up shirt. Noah recognized him from the internal files. Store manager. Carla's assistant, Brent. He walked over, chewing gum. "Vanessa, we've talked about this," Brent said. "You can't just swipe your card for people. It's not professional." Vanessa's voice was calm but tight. "I didn't make a scene. I just helped someone." "Yeah, and now the line's backed up. You're not a charity. Do your job." Noah felt something twist in his chest. He wanted to say something, wanted to step in, but he stayed quiet. Not yet. He needed to see more. He needed to know if this was just one bad moment or a sign of something deeper. By mid-afternoon, Noah's legs ached. He hadn't stood for this many hours straight in years, and the thin soles of his discount sneakers weren't doing him any favors. He stayed quiet, absorbing everything, the rushed movements, the clipped conversations, the way some employees avoided eye contact with supervisors. From the corner of his eye, he noticed Vanessa taking a deep breath before stepping away from her register. She glanced at Darnell, who gave her a quick nod. Noah followed her discreetly to the break room, keeping enough distance not to seem obvious. Inside, she grabbed half a sandwich from a paper bag, sat down, and stared at the table like she wasn't really seeing it. Across from her, a janitor in his 50s with a gray beard wiped sweat from his brow with a towel. "How's your knee today?" Vanessa asked him gently. "Stiff, like always. Ain't getting any younger," he said, cracking a tired smile. "But bills don't pay themselves." "You know Carla keeps telling me to stop covering the double shifts," Vanessa replied. "But if I don't, they just stay uncovered." She says that now, but when she's got a hole in the schedule, guess who she calls? Neither of them laughed. Noah stepped out of view, pretending to study the vending machine, making sure not to interrupt. A few minutes later, he returned to the floor. Darnell met him by the freezer aisle with a clipboard. "Hey, you're on restocking with me next hour. You good with lifting?" "I can manage," Noah said. "Seems like you're stretched pretty thin." Darnell exhaled through his nose. "You noticed, huh?" "Yeah. We've been down 3 people since last month. 1 quit, 1's out on injury, and 1 just stopped showing up. Carla's still working on hiring, but nothing changes." As they wheeled out a cart of frozen meals, Darnell kept glancing down the aisle. "You ever worked in a place where it feels like people are just trying not to get yelled at?" "I've seen it," Noah admitted carefully. "Yeah, that's this. Brent's on a power trip. Carla's office is her castle. We do our best, but man, it's like trying to swim through molasses." They shelved boxes in silence for a while. Then Darnell muttered, "Watch what happens now." Noah turned just in time to see a teenage employee with Brace's name tag read Miguel carrying a mop and bucket toward aisle 6. A glass jar had shattered. A woman with a toddler waited nearby, arms crossed. Miguel moved fast, clearly nervous. As he began mopping, Brent appeared with his arms folded. "This how you mop?" Brent snapped. "You didn't even put a wet floor sign down." Miguel jumped back. "I was just about to. Doesn't matter. If she slips, we get sued." "Then what? You gonna cover that out of your paycheck?" Miguel's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. "You think I'm being hard on you?" Brent asked. "I'm trying to keep you employed." Miguel blinked. I didn't mean to mess up. Don't talk. Just fix it." Noah clenched his jaw. He looked at the woman nearby. She looked uncomfortable too, shifting her toddler to her other hip. As soon as Brent walked away, Noah stepped closer. "You okay?" he asked Miguel. The boy nodded quickly. "Yeah, I'm still learning. I didn't mean to do anything wrong." "You didn't," Noah said. "That was a mistake anyone could make." Miguel gave a slight, grateful nod, then returned to mopping with exaggerated caution. Later, while helping Darnell unload a truck in the back lot, Noah noticed the driver visibly annoyed. "They told me I'd be out of here in 15 minutes, the driver grumbled. "That was 45 ago. I've got 2 more stops, and I'm going to miss both windows." Darnell rubbed the back of his neck. "Sorry, man, we're short today." "You're always short. Every time I come here, it's a mess. The other store's got people waiting the second I pull up." The driver tossed the clipboard onto a crate and got back in his cab. Darnell shook his head. "This is what it's like every damn day. We're expected to hit perfection with half the crew." Inside, Vanessa was helping an older woman find a specific brand of bread. As she walked her to the right shelf, Kelsey leaned against the dairy cooler, scrolling through her phone. Her register light was off, and 2 customers had already walked away confused. Noah walked over. "Hey, is your lane closed?" he asked. Kelsey didn't look up. "Taking my break. Didn't see you punch out." She finally looked up. "Who are you, the time cop?" "I'm just trying to learn how things work here." "They work however I say they do when Carla's not around," she said, pocketing her phone and walking off. Noah felt heat rise in his chest. He caught Darnell's eye across the floor. "She do that a lot?" he asked. Darnell sighed. "Let's just say if you told Carla about it, nothing would happen." That evening, the store emptied out a little. Vanessa stayed an extra hour, helping close down her register, restock the candy racks, and wipe down the conveyor belts. Brent passed by several times, never speaking, just watching. When Vanessa finally headed to the back to clock out, Noah followed. Back in the break room, she reached into her locker and pulled on a faded hoodie. "You staying late again tomorrow?" he asked casually. She nodded. "Yeah, someone's got to train the new guy." He smiled. "That'd be me." She gave a tired laugh. "Right, sorry, long day." "You always this patient with people?" She looked down, then shrugged. "Only way I know how to be. Place like this, the job is already hard. No reason to make it harder on each other." There was a pause. Then she added, "You're not like most new hires." "Why's that?" "You listen, most don't bother." He didn't answer, just nodded once. As he left the break room, he passed Brent leaning against the manager's office door, sipping from a coffee cup. "Better pick up the pace tomorrow, rookie," Brent said. "We don't have time to babysit." Noah didn't respond. He walked straight out the front doors, into the cooling night air, and sat in his car for a long moment before pulling off his glasses and rubbing his eyes. Too many things lined up. The short staffing, the toxic leadership, the way the hardest working people were stretched to their limits while others slacked off without pushback. Tomorrow, he'd stay deeper in. He needed to speak to Carla in person. No more Zoom calls. And when the time came, he wouldn't just correct this, he'd dismantle it. By the third day, Noah had heard enough excuses. He arrived just before sunrise, slipping through the back entrance with the other openers. No one questioned him. Brent wasn't in yet. Carla still hadn't made an appearance. Darnell was already coordinating the early delivery with two stalkers who looked barely awake. As Noah clocked in, he noticed something odd. The store lights were still half dimmed, even though the front doors would open in less than 10 minutes. The produce section was only half filled. A cart of overripe bananas sat untouched beside the aisle, and two bakery trays were still uncovered. Vanessa walked past him, tying her apron, her eyes darting to the clock. "Morning," Noah said. She nodded without stopping. "We're behind. Again. Darnell's filling in for the opener who didn't show. Second time this week." Noah followed her to the front. Kelsey was leaning on a counter, scrolling through her phone again, earbuds in. "Seriously?" Vanessa muttered under her breath. Kelsey didn't even flinch. She left one earbud in and walked off, heading toward the break room without a word. When the doors opened, the first few customers trickled in. One woman asked loudly why the bread racks were still half empty. Another pointed out an expired yogurt cup in the dairy cooler. Vanessa apologized and made a note to clean it out on her first break. Darnell passed by with a dolly of frozen goods, sweat already forming at his collar. "I'm doing 3 things at once, man," he said to Noah, not angrily, just tired. "And Carla's not answering her phone." Noah kept his tone neutral, but direct. "Does she come in at all?" "Twice a week, maybe. If there's a corporate visit or she needs to check numbers in person. Otherwise, it's all emails and texts." Noah had read that part in the reports, but hearing it from the staff was different. This wasn't absentee leadership. It was active neglect. Around mid-morning, Brent finally showed up. He moved straight to the manager's office, holding a breakfast burrito in one hand and a soda in the other. Noah watched from the register as he passed Vanessa without a word. A few minutes later, the tension snapped. It began when an elderly man in a wheelchair tried to get assistance with reaching an item on the top shelf. He flagged down Miguel, who hesitated a moment, then started toward the aisle. As he did, Brent stepped out of the office. "Where are you going?" Brent asked sharply. The kid froze. "That man needs help grabbing something. We've got customers lined up at your station. You don't leave unless you're told." But he asked me, "Do I look like I asked for excuses?" The customer rolled his chair closer. "I just needed someone to grab the pancake mix up there." Brent didn't even look at him. Then he should have waited for someone available. "You're on clock duties, not charity." Miguel's face flushed. "I was just trying to help." "Trying doesn't count. Get back to your post." Noah stepped forward. "I'll get it." Brent turned. "You're not trained on floor work." "I can reach a box." The man in the wheelchair looked between them, clearly uncomfortable. Noah grabbed the pancake mix and handed it to him gently. "Thank you," the man said. He turned to Brent. "You don't talk to people like that." Brent gave a thin smile. "I talk to my staff however I need to." Noah's voice was even. "That's not leadership, that's laziness." Brent tilted his head. "What did you just say?" Noah stepped closer. "You heard me." Brent's tone sharpened. "You want to keep your job?" Noah pulled the fake glasses from his face. "I already have one. I own this store." Every sound in the front of the building seemed to vanish at once. Brent's eyes widened. "What?" Noah turned toward Vanessa, Darnell, and the others who had gathered around, unsure what to do. "I'm Noah Carter. I started this company 12 years ago. I've been working here undercover for the past few days because I stopped trusting filtered reports." Kelsey had just walked out of the break room. She froze in place. Noah's voice stayed calm, but carried weight. "What I've seen here is unacceptable. People being disrespected for helping customers, team members covering shifts without support, and leadership that hides in offices or shows up when it's convenient." Brent tried to speak. "That's not fair. Carla runs the schedule. You bark at teenagers, ignore disabled customers, and you've created an environment built on fear. You're done here, right now. Get your things and leave." Brent's mouth moved, but no sounds came out. He stormed toward the back without another word. Noah turned to Kelsey. "You've mocked co-workers, refused to do basic tasks, and made this team's job harder. You're not staying either." Her face reddened. "You can't just—" "I can, and I just did." He looked at Darnell. "Call HR. Let them know we'll need interim coverage. I'll stay and help close today." Vanessa stood still, eyes locked on him. "I owe you an apology," he said to her. "You've been holding this place together, quietly, with grace, and you've been punished for it." She looked away. "It's not about me. It is now." Noah walked to the center of the floor. "If anyone needs a break, take it. If you need supplies, ask. We're going to rebuild this place the right way. But that starts with honesty. No more pretending everything's fine." Miguel stepped forward. "Are you really the owner?" "I am." "Then, why would you work here like one of us?" "Because I forgot what it felt like to be on this side of the register. And I never should have." Later that afternoon, Carla finally arrived. She walked in briskly, sunglasses still on, holding a tablet. "Brent texted me something ridiculous," she said. "Where is he?" Noah stepped forward. "Gone, along with Kelsey." She blinked. "What?" "I've seen the reports, Carla. They don't match reality. Your leadership here has been remote at best and negligent at worst. I gave you trust and freedom to manage, and you let it rot from the inside." Her tone hardened. "I've hit every target. Numbers are solid." "At what cost?" he asked. "You buried problems under metrics. You failed your team." She crossed her arms. "You're overreacting." Noah shook his head. "I'm intervening. You're suspended pending full review. Effective now." Carla's jaw set, but she didn't argue. She set the tablet on the counter and walked out. That evening, the atmosphere changed. No music played, no announcements, just quiet order as the team worked together to reset shelves, clean neglected corners, and prepare for the next day. Miguel stayed late to finish stocking. Darnell coordinated with HR to begin hiring efforts. Vanessa, exhausted but steady, helped count down registers. As the lights dimmed, Noah gathered the team by the customer service desk. "I can't fix everything overnight," he said. "But I can promise you this. No one here will be treated like they don't matter again." There were no cheers, no applause, just nods. Quiet relief. A weight lifted, but not forgotten. Vanessa spoke softly. "What happens next? We rebuild, together, with the right people, and it starts tomorrow." Noah picked up a broom and began sweeping near the entryway. Everyone else just got back to work. By the end of the week, the store was quieter not in activity, but in mood. The usual tension that had once sat heavy in the air had thinned, replaced with a cautious sense of change. Not relief yet, but a shift. The kind people notice in small ways, fewer glances over shoulders, more direct eye contact, a little less silence between tasks. Noah arrived before the sun rose again, this time as himself. No uniform, no disguise. Just jeans, a flannel shirt, and a clipboard under his arm. He didn't need to pretend anymore. The point now was to show up, stay present, and rebuild trust from the ground up. He met Vanessa by the front end as she was unlocking her register. "Morning," he said. She looked up, surprised. "Didn't expect you here this early. I told you I'd be back." She hesitated, then added, "Most people say that and disappear once the storm passes. I'm not most people." Vanessa gave a small nod and turned back to adjusting the till. Noah walked the floor slowly. The overnight crew had done a decent job restocking, but the dry goods aisle was still half bare. The store was running on a skeleton crew. 3 people had already left on their own since Brent and Kelsey were terminated. HR was working to fill the gaps, but nothing moved fast in retail. Darnell met him at the back near the loading dock. He looked like he hadn't slept more than a few hours, but he was focused. "Got a partial shipment," he said. "Warehouse says the full load's delayed until tomorrow." Noah checked the manifest. "Any word on the new hires?" 2 interviews this afternoon. One's a maybe, the other's got experience, but no transportation. "Let's cover a rideshare for the first month," Noah said. "If he works out, we'll figure out something long-term." Darnell blinked. "You're serious?" "I wouldn't say it if I wasn't." They got to work unloading what had arrived, mostly bulk snacks and paper goods. Miguel appeared halfway through, still a little timid but moving with more confidence than before. He didn't flinch when he saw Noah anymore. That mattered. After an hour, Noah called a quick huddle near the break room. Vanessa, Darnell, Miguel, and 2 other employees from the bakery and produce joined him. "I know we're short," he said, "and I know some of you are running on fumes. I'm not going to throw a speech at you. I just want to be honest." He looked around the small group. "We're not trying to patch holes. We're rebuilding this place properly. That means better scheduling, more reasonable expectations, and giving people time to learn without fear." Vanessa crossed her arms. "And what happens when the corporate pressure kicks in again?" "I'm reworking the metrics myself," Noah answered. "No more rewarding speed over service. No more penalizing people who take time to help." The bakery associate, a woman named Sherry, asked, "Does that mean we're getting more hours?" "It means you're getting the hours you need to do the job right," Noah said. "Not more than you can handle, but enough to stop cutting corners." Sherry narrowed her eyes slightly. "That depends on who's watching the budget." "I am," Noah said, "and I've already frozen all non-critical expenses so we can reallocate funds until we stabilize." That got a rare reaction. Silence without skepticism. Later that morning, Noah sat down in the office, that same one Brent used as a throne. He cleared out the junk food wrappers, tossed the unused paperwork, and pulled up the schedule roster. He sent a message to HR, bumped Vanessa's title to floor lead, effective immediately, no ceremony, just extra pay, scheduling authority, and the ability to override minor decisions without waiting for upper management. She'd earned that 10 times over. He also requested an audit of every shift over the past 3 months, not to assign blame, but to identify patterns: who was truly showing up versus who was just clocking in. The numbers would tell the story. Around noon, a woman in her late 40s approached the customer service desk. She wore a neatly pressed blouse and carried a small folder. Her name was Yvette, one of the interview candidates Darnell had mentioned. Noah sat down with her in the break room. She'd worked at 2 other chains before, both of which had closed down. Her references were solid, but what stood out was how she spoke about her last team. "I trained the newer girls," she said, "made sure they knew how to calm people down without escalating. Most folks just want to be heard." "Why'd you leave?" "The store shut down. They offered transfers, but I couldn't relocate. My mother's here, and I care for her in the evenings." "You'd be available mornings?" 6 to 2, Monday through Friday." He nodded. "Let's get you set up. We'll start you tomorrow, part-time for the first week. If it works, we'll go full-time. Sound fair?" The relief in her face said more than any words. By mid-afternoon, the pace picked up. A checkout line grew longer than expected, and Vanessa waved Miguel over to open a second register. He moved faster now, but not rushed. He greeted each customer clearly, asked if they found everything they needed, and bagged carefully. A man in line, a contractor by the look of his boots, asked how long Miguel had been working. "Just a couple weeks," Miguel said. "Still learning?" You're doing better than half the people I deal with, the man replied. Noah stood near the bakery, watching the exchange without stepping in. He didn't need to. That's how it should be. At closing, Darnell sat at the front counter, slumped but alert. Vanessa was finishing a report on the handheld. Miguel was removing the last of the carts from the parking lot. Noah brought everyone together again, not for a meeting, just to check in. I won't be here every day, he said, but I'll be here regularly. No more decisions made by people who never walk past the front door. Darnell leaned back. You're actually sticking around? Long enough to make sure this place doesn't go back to what it was. Vanessa looked up. That's going to take time. I'm not in a hurry, Noah replied. But I am serious. She weighed that for a moment, then gave him a look not of trust yet, but of consideration. It was the first step. Outside, the parking lot was quiet, lampposts casting long shadows over the sidewalk. Miguel pushed the final cart into the corral and paused, shoulders relaxed for once. Inside, Sherry wiped down the bakery counter without being asked. Darnell double-checked the alarm system. Vanessa keyed in the final numbers for the day without needing approval. Noah stood alone at the end of aisle 7, the same aisle where things had come to a head just days earlier. Same shelves, same store, but a different feeling. Not perfect, not even close, but real. He reached up and adjusted a crooked sign above the canned goods, just a tiny thing. But it mattered, because this time he'd be watching. Not from a distance, but from within.